Good morning, children. Today in English, in class 11, we'll continue the Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, part 3. Now, yesterday we had talked about how Murad and Aram rode on the beautiful horse towards the countryside, and Murad was so excited, he was delighted that he began to sing. Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere, and my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. That meant that in their tribe, the tribe that was a Garoglanian tribe, every family has a crazy actually would mean insane, but out here, that somebody is very known to be very passive, very unpredictable. Streak is a trait. So he says descendant is one can say that is a person from a particular ancestor of the crazy streak in our tribe. That meant that from among all the members in the family, Murad was the one who had this crazy streak in him, and where he had inherited this from his uncle Khosrow. Before him was an Uncle Khosrow. That meant Uncle Khosrow was believed or considered to be crazy, and from him Murad seemed to have inherited this specific quality. An enormous man, that means a huge built up man, with a powerful head of black hair and the largest moustache in the San Joaquin Valley, that is in the interiors of California. So, and a man so furious in temper. A man so furious otherwise would mean angry. A man so furious in temper, that his temperament was that he was used to always be angry. He was never happy. He was never pleased. So irritable, very short-tempered, so impatient. That meant he would not allow anybody to speak in his presence generally. That he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. Roaring in this context would mean that to shout at a loud pitch. And what did he shout? How did he shout? It is no harm, pay no attention to it. That means no matter what the situation was, his response was always, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. That means don't bother about it, in other words. That was all. No matter what anybody happened to be talking about. And now he's coming to a situation where that proves how Uncle Khosrow was crazy. Once it was his own son Arak running 8 blocks to the barber's shop where his father was having his moustache trimmed to tell him the house was on fire. Now he's talking of an instance when Uncle Khosrow was sitting at the barber's shop and having his moustache trimmed, means to get it tidy by the barber, and his son Arak came running, rushed to him and told him that the house has caught fire, that the house was on fire. This man Khosrow sat up in the chair and roared. And how did he respond? He sat up, of course, but he roared, he shouted at his son. It is no harm, pay no attention to it. So to this situation, where had it been somebody else would have rushed home to see what the damage was, on how to save the house, in other words, but out here he reacted in exactly the opposite way. He did not bother. He just told him, I shouted at him rather, it is no harm, pay no attention to it. That means don't bother about it. The barber said, but the boy says your house is on fire. So the barber felt that Uncle Khosrow has not comprehended, he has not understood the situation, that his son is trying to convey that the house has caught fire. So obviously he expected his father to rush home and to help out in the situation. So Uncle Khosrow roared, enough, it is no harm, I say. So he once again shouted at Arak and the barber, of course, and he says, enough of this now, don't bother about it, it is no harm, I say. That means I said what I wanted to. So my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of this man. Although Murad's father was Zurab, who was practical and nothing else. Now, generally it is believed that the son inherits the quality and traits of the father. But Murad was not like his own father. His father was very simple. He was a very practical minded person, whereas Uncle Khosrow was not. But Murad was more like his uncle Khosrow. In fact, the qualities that he had inherited, the crazy streak in him, had come from Uncle Khosrow. That's how it was in our tribe. That means that's the way things were in their tribe. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, but that did not mean that he was also the father of his spirit. This meant that his own father is Zorab, but he has not inherited the qualities or traits of his father, but rather he has inherited the qualities that are found in Uncle Khosrow. The distribution of the various kinds of spirit of our tribe had been from the very beginning capricious and vagrant. That means that is the way the tribe was. The tribe that was the Garoglanian tribe, that is the way it was. Now capricious would mean that a sudden change of mood or behavior, or it can be somebody who is very impulsive or unpredictable. And vagrant would mean that not fixed, in other words, that when a person does not have a home or without a job, so that person is called as a vagrant. We rode and my cousin Murad sang. Why? Because he was so happy. For all anybody knew, we were still in the old country where, at least according to some of our neighbors, we belonged. We let the horse run as long as it felt like running. So he says that they allowed the horse to run in the direction that he wished to. At last my cousin Murad said, "Get down, I want to ride alone." So he instructed his cousin Aram to get off the horse. "Will you let me ride alone?" I asked. So now Aram wanted to also take a ride on the horse alone. So before he got off, he wanted his cousin Murad to promise him. "That is up to the horse," my cousin said. "Get down." He says, "If the horse lets you ride, then you may, but right now you need to get off." "The horse will let me ride," I said. So he was not prepared to take a no for an answer. He was so sure of himself and so confident that he said, "The horse will definitely let me also ride it." "We shall see," he said. "Don't forget that I have a way with the horse." He says, "Let's see about it. Let's wait. I have a way with the horse." Now, Murad, the kind of temperament that he possessed, that he was very good at handling animals and people and situations also. And he had a very good understanding. He was an animal lover, one can say, and he was extremely good and kind to the animal. So both the horse and he had come to have a good understanding. So he was able to handle it well. "Well," I said, "any way you have with the horse, I have also." Now, he was younger, he was 9 years old, whereas Murad is 13 years old, but still he felt that he was in no way lesser than Murad. "For the sake of your safety," he said, "let us hope so. Get down." Alright, he says that Murad, naturally he's older and he's also responsible and concerned about Aram's safety. So he said, "Okay, let's see about it, and you just get down now." "Alright," I said. "But remember, you've got to let me try to ride alone." So Aram insisted that he would also get a chance or an opportunity to ride the horse alone, just as Murad wanted to ride it alone. I got down, and my cousin Murad kicked his heels into the horse and shouted, "Wazir, run." So finally Aram got off the horse and Murad kicked his heels, instructing the horse to, Wazir is in an Armenian, to run. The horse stood on his hind legs, snorted and burst into a fury of speed. That was the loveliest thing I had ever seen. So he said, Aram stood over there and watched Murad ride on that horse. Snorted would mean that the sound produced by the breathing of the horse, and after the instruction given by Murad, the horse rode away at a fast speed, very swiftly. And that is what really Aram enjoyed thoroughly.